Hey guys, as part of today's session, I'm going to show how we can basically set up the basic Sitecore Helix application from scratch, and how we can configure the gulp task so that we can perform some of the tasks and activities like building and publishing the project to website root and unicorn thing. So basically, that is the whole agenda of this session for today. So I already have Sitecore 8.2 update for application up and running. So that's the front end and this the back end of it, Sitecore. So the first step which we'll be doing is creating a sample, creating the blank solution when we can create the Helix um, folders, layers, and projects and all that. So uh, if you see here, let me just start with creating a new project, right? And as part of this, I'd be selecting the blank solution so that I can create those layers and modules from scratch. So sandbox helix is my solution name, and this particular solution I'll be creating under D projects and sandbox. So let's just create it. Okay. So if you go to Solution Explorer, we can see it's a blank solution is all up for us. And if you go back to our location, so okay, so the basic solution is all there. So the next step would be to create project layer folders here. So which from the Helix perspective, what basically I'm saying is we have to create separate solution folder for project, foundation, and feature. So let's just start with it. So the first solution folder which I'm creating here is feature. Then the next solution folder which I'll be creating is foundation. So basically this is nothing but layers from Sitecore perspective, and then project layer. Right, so basically now if you see, I have three different layers created: feature, foundation, and project. And under each layer we will create modules. So under project, basically we can create a module like website. Under foundation, we can create any foundation level module which will be used in our project, and feature level projects as well, like search, indexing, serialization, right? So all these type of things can be a part of your foundation layer. And feature layer should include like your independent modules, uh, like your features like articles, events, your generic page, and right, so call out. So all those type of features can be a part of your feature layer. uh, your indexing, serialization, um, uh, and search, these type of features can be part of your foundation layer, and then website can be part of your project layer. So the next step would be to create at least one module for each layer here. So for project, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a module called website, right? And then for foundation, you can create any modules there. So as of now, I just want to create relation so that the same model can be used to show how basically the unicorn setup works with gulp. So that's the reason I'm going to create this serialization module. And then under feature layer, we can add any number of modules, like an article can be one part of it. So article is another module, right? So far what we have done, we have just created a blank solution which doesn't have any project as of now, but it has three different layers: feature, foundation, and project. And under each layer I have one module folder created: website for project, serialization for foundation, and article for feature. So the next step would be to create at least one project here. So what I would be doing is add. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating a project for my website, right? So just click on your module, right click, add, and create a new project. And just click on web application, right? And Okay, so here what happens is, from Helix perspective, if you see Helix Habitat project, basically they basically follow a folder structure wherein, like, we have a layer, then we have a module, and then we have a um, your your code folder, which actually consists of your actual project. Then it has also serialization and test folder. So that's the reason basically I'm also going to create a project uh, with name code, so that the same folder, with the same name, the folder can be created under our module. So in this case, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create this folder structure here, like source, and this is what I'm going to do for project layer, and then doing it for website module, right? So what basically we are doing here is, we are trying to create a project called code, which will be created under source, project, and website, right? So once we click OK, right, so you can just select empty for now. Okay, so the basic module is in place now, and if we go back to our solution, here you can see the source folder is created for us, under which we have a layer for project, and then we have a module for website, and under this we have code folder, which has the actual project on it, right? So but we just want to make it more user friendly, and from Helix perspective, what we can do is, we can just give it as an um, we can basically define a new project name for this one. So instead of making it just code, what we can do, we can make it sandbox Helix dot your layer, which is project, your module, which is website here, right? So we can just do it, just copy it, and then you can go to your properties, project properties, and then you can just update the assembly name and default namespace uh, to reflect the correct structure here, right? And then if we go to web.config, and we can just do the same thing for web config as well. So build action, we can just set it to none. So the reason we are setting this build action to none, so that whenever we are deploying the website folder in our web root, so the website the basically the web.config is not overriding the the Sitecore web.config file. So that's the reason basically we are setting this build action to none. Now the same thing we can do for serialization as well. So for serialization, the process is again same. We just need to create a new project, and we can just call it as code. And now this particular project serialization, I'm going to create under foundation layer. So the structure should be source, foundation is my layer, and then under foundation the module is serialization, right? Okay, so just click on OK, select the empty, this is already selected, and then you can just do the same thing for this module as well. Sandbox uh, alex dot foundation dot serialization. Okay, just copy it, just go to properties, and just update the same thing for assembly and namespace there, and do it for web.config as well, so that you are not overriding the default Sitecore web.config. Otherwise you just have to just set it to none. Okay, so this is all in fine, and then you can just do it for article as well. Anyways, we are not going to do anything on all these projects, but this is just for our reference. So that, and then this is a feature level module. So what we can do, we can just do it source slash feature slash article, right? So click on OK, select an empty, click on OK, then just name it sandbox helix dot feature dot article, copy it. Okay, go to properties, just update it, and go to webdriver config as well, and then set the build action set to none, right? So okay, so the basic steps are all in place. So far we have created feature foundation and project layers, under which we have one module also created, article for feature, serialization for foundation, and website for project. And then we have the project also created. And if we go from here, if we go to the folder structure, so we have source, right? We have feature foundation project. Under feature we have article and then code. Under foundation, if we go, we have serialization and code, which has the actual project here. And then same thing for project, if we go to website, and then we have code and then the actual project, right? So all these things are in place. So the next step would be, so this is the basic step, like how, if you want to set up, if you want to basically get started with Helix, these are the initial steps which we have to follow. Next step is to deploy the update, like so the to basically to deploy the related module DLLs to your website folder. We have gulp task in place, which is actually part of your habitat application as well. So that's what we are going to leverage as part of this session as well. So what I'm going to do is I'll just go to habitat solution here, and I'm just going to copy over the lib scripts, gulp config gulp file, and then the package JSON file, and I'm just going to copy it over to my website root, right? Okay, from this point, let me just run the gulp task from here, right? And then the first step would be basically what we have to do, we have to run the npm install command, right? So that all our related modules can get installed. So npm, the command is npm install. So let it just run. If it gives the same so basically when I was for one of the project, when I was setting up this Helix solution with the gulp task, I actually got one issue while running the npm install task. So in case if I get the same error, I would just share how I fixed that issue. Okay, still loading, still going on. Actually, I'm not sure if I get that error now, but in my case, what happened is, like, when I was running this npm install task, I got an issue on the SAS module, right? So, um, in my case, the issue was the module, the gulp SAS module, which was referred, that was not the updated one. So, because of that, it was showing, it was actually showing me some other like some other random error. So when I googled it, I didn't find it very much clear at what exactly the error was. So but like after troubleshooting it more, what I found, the module which was meant, the module version which was mentioned as part of that gulp task was not proper. So I'm not sure. Let's see, yeah. So in this case also, basically what I can just show you. Okay, so here also you can see it is actually complaining for um modules, node SAS, and binding.solution file. So I just tried all the related things, which was the error, which is, you can see here, right? So the command prompts and all that, tools or target error, the SDK version 8.1 was not found. So I tried doing some research around this error also, but this was basically not the root cause of it. So the root cause was something different. So in my case, the root cause was, if I go to package.json file, and here you can see there are dependencies for this gulp module, right? So if I go to SAS, right? So the gulp SAS, the version which is mentioned here is it's 2.0.4. So what I did, like, I just updated the version here and I made it 3.1.0. So just save it and then let's run it again. So that was the issue in my case. So even in like when you are doing the similar activity in your machine, like you can also check in case if you're getting the same issue, just try updating the source version and see if that's resolve the issue in your case or not. Okay, so it is still going on. Basically, as part of this npm install, it is trying to install all the related modules, node modules. Okay, so yeah, so now you can see like added 105 packages from 106 contributing 39.2 to 3 seconds, right? So it means the problem was with the version only, right? So in my case, I'm using 3.9.0. So okay, so the next step is now from here, if we see, okay, so let me just add a new solution folder as well so that I can copy over some of. I just copy over the configuration, and then let me just copy this path and add existing item, right? So let me just copy over gulp and package JSON file, right? And let's go to, okay, so now I have gulp config file, gulp file.js, and then package.json file. So gulp config file is all about wherein like your gulp configuration has been set, wherein like what is your instance, what is your basically the instance root, your website folder, right? Your license configuration, which build tool version you are using and all that, right? So in this case, I just want to replace this instance root with what I'm using in my instance. So in this case, it is, let's go to website Helix. So that's what we are using here. I just replace this, the instance root. Okay, so that is the one chain. Okay, just save it, and then gulp file is fine for now. We have to make some changes as part of this gulp file.js also. I'll just show you what change is that, and package.json is also fine for now. Okay, now the next step is let's run gulp. Okay, so just one thing to note here is so far we have not done any change as part of any modules under each layer. Like we haven't made any change to your article, we haven't made any change to serialization, and we haven't made any change to our website as well, right? So we are just trying to set up the basic gulp flow in place first. So let's see the gulp task. Okay, and let's start with copy Sitecore license. It's running. Okay, so that is fine. New get restore. Okay, that's done. Publish all projects. Okay, yeah, so that is again one thing which I just want to share my thoughts with you guys here is, so the third step here is publish all projects, right? So initially when, so basically as of now I have three different projects. I have article, serialization, and website, right? So nothing is being wrong, everything is fine, but when I'm trying to publish my projects to my website root folder, I'm getting this error, right? So error in plugin run sequence. So initially to me it looks like there is some error in the run sequence error. So that is what I thought when I was setting up the application with Gov for the very first time. So I tried several articles related, which like they were saying, okay, now there is some you basically have to update the run sequence module. So I tried updating my sequence module as well, but it didn't help, right? So finally what I found is if you go back to the gulp config.js, here if you see the build tool version is 15.0, right? But in my case I'm using Visual Studio 2015, right? So but this 15.0 build tool version is applicable built for 2017, right? Visual Studio 2017. So that was basically the root cause, for this specific error. And if I change this build tool version from 15.0 to 14.0, that resolved my issue. So I think it should basically do the same thing now as well. Let's try to publish all projects. See, so that was basically the issue. So in your case also, in case if you're using if you're using yeah, so it's all succeeded, building project succeeded, right? So all the projects got built. So in your case also, if you're using site Visual Studio 2015 and then you're trying to build a solution and trying to execute the publish all projects, if you're getting this error, make sure you test what is the tool version is being used in your gulp file.js file. In case if you are using Visual Studio 2017, you're all good. If you're using 2015 like how I'm using now, you might consider updating your build tool version here from 15.0 to 14.0. So from here, if you see run, this should work fine now. The trans, it is all fine. Next, if you go to XML transform, it is all fine. So next step is sync unicorn, right? So that should also work fine, but mm, I just want to show you how this unicorn sync also works. So the first step is if you basically want to have this uh, um, if you want to basically run sync your unicorn as well from your gulp task, you need to set up unicorn task here, right? So I don't have unicorn set up as of now, so which I'm going to do right now. Manage NuGet packages, and if you go to browse, look for uh, unicorn, just select this package and you can select the latest, which is 4.0.3 in this case. Select it, it will just give you a package, it will basically give you a pop-up showing what are the different modules it will install. Just click on OK. It will take some time. Okay, so it's all finished now, right? Okay, so now we have module as well, right? We have installed unicorn package as a NuGet package also as part of our serialization foundation project module. Fine. So from this point, if we try to close it, okay. So from this point, if we try to run that unicorn saying, let's see what error we get. Okay, so now it is not able to find the habitat site URL that is publishing.target, right? So that is the first thing which we have to do now. So if you go back to habitat project basically and just copy over your publishing settings.target file, copy this file and copy it to your root. Okay, and if we try to update the content of it, okay, so here if you see the publish URL is pointing to habitat.tab.url, so we just need to update it with what URL we are using in our case, right? So in our case we are using this one, so let's just update this, right? So sandbox Helix I just updated. Okay, now see what error we get after we execute this sync unicorn task, because now we have, okay, so initially it was complaining for publishing settings for target file, which we have already applied. Now it is complaining for website app config include unicorn.shared secret.config file, right? So what we will do is if we go back to gulp file.js, right, and then if we try to see the different steps what we have here, like we have default, deploy, copy Sitecore license, restore NuGet, publish all projects, transformation, sync unicorn, right? So here basically it is looking for app config include unicorn.shared config file, right? If you go to Solution Explorer, go to your include, and then here you will see we have unicorn.shared secret.config.example, right? So what we can do is we can just update this config file, right? And yes, and then we can just update the reference in our gulp file.js, right? So we can just make it app config include unicorn slash unicorn dot z shared config dot z shared secret dot config, right? So I just updated the URL in gulp file.js, and next step would be just to build the solution once, and once the build is all over, then you can just publish the projects, run it. Okay, now from this point it is still doing it. Okay, it is all completed now. Next step would be to go and see unicorn.aspx. Meanwhile, we can just double check all our tasks here. So we have, so yeah, as part of sync unicorn task, we have it is pointing to unicorn shared secret or config file, and let's see if we have this file here or not. Right, website app config include unicorn. Okay, we don't have this file, so what I'm going to do is, let's, okay, let me just open this, copy this file, and copy this to website root config include unicorn v. Okay, unicorn. Refresh it. Actually, it looks like the webber config file got updated with one of the web with my this modules webber config file. So I just updated the webber config file once again. Let's see if this resolve the issue. Okay, I think that was the issue. Okay, what else we can do? We can just go to icon.spx. Okay, so far we don't have any configurations here. Let's just quickly add some configurations to your folder. So let's go to serialization. Okay, so before we create any further configuration as part of your unicorn project, let's see if we run your unicorn sync task, what happens. Okay, so we are getting some error here. Okay, so before I create the configuration for my unicorn, let me just do one thing. Let me just copy over uh, the shared secret key, because that's what even I have sometimes I have seen this not this one, pin website app config include unicorn shared secret. Let me just update the secret key here, because sometimes I've seen this the default secret key which we have in place that doesn't work sometimes. So this is one of the secret key which I'm using from my project. So let's see if I run it now, what happens. Okay, so I think it worked again. Okay, because waiting on sync to, because we don't have any configuration there, so we need to have at least one configuration so that we can run serialization. So let's just create quickly one folder, add new folder, so that last, and let's just call it as add new configuration file, and you can call it as sandbox helix dot foundation dot serialization dot config, right? Okay, so in this configuration what we can do is we can actually take the settings from this file, right? Configuration, let's just close it, unicorn Sitecore, and then configuration. Under configuration you can create your own configuration setting here. You can call it as sample helix, right? And just give it as a description, and you can again call it sample helix, right? Okay, so once the configuration has been defined, the next step would be to have uh, basically target data store, so which I can take it from unicorn.ui. Oh, sorry. I'll to take it from unicorn.config file. So that's what my target data store is. Control C, Control V. I'll just change it. Next step is predicate. So predicate, anyways, you can take it from again from your unicorn.config file. Mm, So I'm not going to detail about what is this predicate all about. Okay, now I can just copy one simple predicate from my example. Just one simple predicate here. Okay, and then helix templates. Anything I can give it sample templates, and then let's say feature. All right, so what I've done here is I've just added one sample unicorn configuration with the target data store, and data store can again I can change it. So in this case what I can do, I can go to okay, I can go to serialization and I can create one folder here, serialization. I can just copy it and put it here. Okay, so what we have a target data store when like all of our serialized files will be stored, that is YML files. Then we have a predicate which has only a feature template defined for now, right? So next step would be just to just build it once, right? So once the build is succeeded, you can just do it using publish all projects. Let's see what uh, okay, so publishing is all done. So from here, if we go back to our unicorn.aspx file, we should see one configuration file. Okay, so now we have added one configuration. So now you can see all those settings here, and which means we have to run the serialization for the first time. So we have to basically do the initial serialization. So let's just do it. Just running. Okay, so the initial serialization has been done. From this point, if you go back to our gulp task for syncing the unicorn, let's see what we get here. So it's starting. Okay, so no sync unicorn executing and sample helixing complete and all that, right? So this task is also completed. So yeah, so as part of this session, we have seen like how basically we can set up helix from scratch, and how we can create different layers and different modules, and how we can basically create a folder structure there, and how we can also set up gulp so that we can do some of the automated tasks like publishing the projects to your website root, and setting up unicorn sync as well. And like what are the there are a few things which I showed you, like the trouble, like that is again helps you in your troubleshooting in case if you see any errors when you are setting up gulp, like the version issue which I showed you for gulp SaaS version, and then another version issue which I showed you when we are using Visual Studio 2015, but it is mentioned like 15.0 as part of your build tool version, which is specific to your Visual Studio 2017. So this is what I had for the session. I hope like this will give you some clarity about and some basic understanding about how to basically get started with set, uh, Helix, and how to integrate Gulp task with it. Um, hope you liked it, and thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye. Thank you.